And cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Gaming Friday edition of VR Roundup. This is episode number 8. It is Friday, November 10th, 2017. Great show ahead of us, guys. Wherever you are, grab your bevy of choice, sit down, feet up, chillax, and let's talk some VR current events. Starting with a shopping tradition in the United States of America. It occurs every November. People from all walks of life, all socioeconomic backgrounds, gather in an orderly fashion, queuing up with the type of patience that serves as an excellent visual learning tool for the younger generation, kids who may happen to be watching. People putting safety ahead of baser human traits like greed and envy. It's a sight to behold. Here in Canada, we have similar sales around Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, although Black Friday is starting to encroach into Canadian societal rituals as well. It's becoming more and more frequent every year that passes. Well, Best Buy in the US will have the Oculus Rift and Touch bundle for $50 off the now $400 regular price. And as with all other Rift purchases, you're going to get 6 free games. That includes Robo Recall, Lucky's Tale, Quill, Medium, Dead and Buried, and finally, Toy Box. Now, if you are wanting to get into virtual reality, but you don't have a gaming PC yet, and you're not sure about going console, and you might not be comfortable with building your own solution, they are also featuring, Best Buy is, quite a few VR-capable PCs and laptops, including an i7 with 16 gigabytes of memory and a GTX 1080 for $1,300 US. That's $400 off the regular retail price. Lastly, the HTC Vive Deluxe Audio Strap. You can find that at Office Depot. It's going to be $699 with the HTC Vive bundle. So basically, you're saving what the Deluxe Audio Strap costs individually, which is about $100 US. Not a bad deal. Last episode, I covered Bigscreen's split screen offering. Well, Bigscreen also has the ability to stream Nintendo Switch games or other consoles games into the VR experience screens. The details for this, I've included the link in the description below. It's all coming to us via the Bigscreen blog. For the Switch, you're going to need additional hardware in the form of a capture device, but if you're doing it for PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, they both have apps to do that already for you. You just need to follow the instructions. Final note, if you're thinking of doing this, make sure you have a beefy PC as well to ensure the gameplay is as lag-free as possible. In Canada, as with most Commonwealth nations, tomorrow is Remembrance Day. The US observes it as Veterans Day, but for us and other Commonwealth countries, Remembrance Day probably more closely resembles Memorial Day. Well, tomorrow at the 11th minute of the 11th hour, which was the armistice of World War I, we observe a moment of silence for those who fought in previous wars. There's a bit of irony there. We should also have a moment of silence for Respawn Entertainment. They were recently acquired, as in a few days ago, by Electronic Arts for $315 million US in cash and stock, plus a potential bonus of $140 million US. Now, Jim Sterling sums it up best. There's no need to retread his video, but the list of companies that EA has acquired and then shut down, guys, it looks like a who is who of greats in the industry. Sadly, companies like Origin Systems, Bullfrog, Westwood Studios, all no more. And what's worse, their intellectual property is locked up in the mighty EA vault, where unfortunately it looks like it's going to rot. Now, the biggest question I have, and the reason I'm even bringing this story up, is what about the non-Titanfall, non-Star Wars game that Respawn stated they were working on? Is it going to get shelved? Well, according to EA's executive vice president, Patrick Soderlund, they are still working on it. So color me a little bit skeptical, but let's wait and see what unfolds. Skyrim and Dark Souls inspired virtual reality game Left Hand Path is out as of today, and it's drumming up extremely positive reviews via its player base on Steam and via the first official review, that one over at VR Focus. I've got the link below. The release version not only provides users with both teleportation and smooth locomotion, and let's be honest, we've kind of come accustomed to that. Most devs are doing that. What's different here is it allows each at the same time via separate controllers. So you could have teleportation on your left, smooth on your right. The devs for the title, Strange Company, likely doing this to address certain parts of the game, which according to the reviews I've read, benefit from quick teleportation to avoid retreading areas that you've already been, or streamlining those so you can get on with the game. Speaking of the game, it offers a dozen, that's 12 plus hours of challenging RPG gameplay, and it can be purchased for $29.99 US, available for both Rift and Vive. To date, Rockstar / Take-Two, they're the only pair of companies that have ever denied my Content ID copyright appeals. And what generally happens is if you use portions of a trailer that are already registered with YouTube by the people who created it, you get a Content ID strike. It means your video gets demonetized. You then appeal it. For most, yeah, it just gets appealed. They agree when an actual person looks at it, because it's not an actual person the first time around, and off you go. Wasn't the case with me, with Take-Two and Rockstar, when I first talked about Noire, the VR cases. Now, a mentor of mine once said that you should put principles before personality. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. And I'm going to be honest, a part of me wanted to never talk about either company or their games ever again. But let's be real, that would have been extremely childish. You know, the kind of thing that a kid would do. A kid who doesn't know better. And I'm just not going to go there. Well, Upload VR was invited to the Rockstar Studios, and they have provided an update on the December release for the game. Just a reminder, as I haven't talked about this game for a while, it's based on the 2011 Noire game, and it's going to contain 7 key cases from that game. Like the original, it's comprised of 3 types of gameplay. You've got the investigation, interrogation, and action sequences. Now, the investigation section, according to Upload VR, really benefits from virtual reality in that you have to physically and actively look around the crime scene for clues. Interrogation, now handled in a bad cop, good cop fashion. That's different from the original. And then finally, throughout the game, kind of interspersed between the static investigation and interrogation parts, are action scenes where you do stuff like chase down fleeing suspects or physically take a perp down via a body tackle or a right hook. Now, for me, I may have mentioned this before, but where I think VR would be perfect is old school adventure games. Games like Space Quest, King's Quest. On a flat screen, they amounted to nothing more than a pixel hunt. You really didn't feel involved. It was just something you had to do to advance the story and allow you to walk onto the next screen. Well, imagine those adventure games in virtual reality, where you would actually have to explore a scene, take part in it, actually live the story to advance it. I think it would be absolutely fantastic. Hopefully we see that soon. And next up, doesn't matter what type of weapon you prefer.
Get my axe.
Yes, even katanas and axes are covered in survival action horror game Killing Floor Incursion, which is now available for HTC Vive owners. The Vive and Rift version via an update now supporting an additional mode called Holdout. And you can think of that as a last man standing type mode. You can pick this title up on Steam for $39.99 US. Speaking of games, Crow Team yesterday releasing the VR conversion of Serious Sam 3. This release comes really close after their last virtual reality release, which was also a VR conversion. That game, The Talos Principle, which, guys, if you have not played it yet, is frickin' amazing. It's a game that I hope to showcase hopefully this weekend. It's about 10 to 17 hours in length, not Talos, but Serious Sam 3 rather, depending on how completionist you are in your approach to the game. So 10 to 17 hours, not bad for VR, compatible with both Rift and Vive, and it's selling for $35.99 US. That represents a 10% discount off its regular $39.99 US price. Now, just as an interesting side note, and I've brought this up before, where I've said, look, if every AAA publisher or developer took one game in their library, just one game, and converted it to virtual reality, you would address a lot of the costs inherent in creating a virtual reality game, because the basics of the game all there, you're just worried about the VR conversion aspects. Plus, we'd have a massive library and a pretty damn good game release schedule moving forward. There would be games trickling in every week once this got underway. Well, here's some food for thought. Crow Team, with this last game, Serious Sam 3, they have now officially converted all of their 3D titles. All of them are now available in virtual reality. Hopefully, that sets a bit of a precedence, and like I said, we see other companies start doing that as well. Well, guys, that is it for the Game and Friday edition. I hope you guys have a fantastic one and a kick-arse weekend to boot. Cheers, guys, and catch you again Tuesday.